Hi everybody, my name's Brent. I'm an official scorer for Maine Antler Skull and Trophy Club. I just wanted to talk about this particular rack, and this is obviously a beautiful giant Maine whitetail right here. Look at all this character we have. I'm just so impressed with this rack. This is a beautiful buck shot by a Maine hunter. I just want to talk about scoring a little bit. This rack right here just barely made typical 135 minimum for Maine. This actually scored net 135 and 1/8. I just want to talk about this because this buck actually grossed 163 inches. So how do we get from 163 inches all the way down to 135 and 1/8? I just want to talk through this a little bit. So we have normal points and we have abnormal points. So normal points are points that come off from the main beam only. They come straight off the main beam, and there it is an opposing point on the opposite beam, or they're in the right succession on the main beam as the other side. Any points coming off from points, so if you have like a kicker, inside point coming off another point, anything off another point is considered an abnormal point. Any point coming down or inside point off from the main beam is also considered an abnormal point. So in this case with this buck, you got two brow tines. These are normal points. This G2 and this G2 would be normal on each side. Then you've got the G3 here, and there's no G3. This is an abnormal point because this does not come off the main beam. It comes actually off from this existing point, as well as this point comes inside off the main beam and not straight up off the top like you would see this point. So these 2 points are considered abnormal. There's no matching G3 on this side. This is the G4 and this is the G4. This would be equivalent on each side. So what happens is these abnormal points, they go in a different category in the scoring sheet. And with Boone and Crockett, they actually deduct the abnormal points, where Maine Skull and Antler, unless it's non-typical, they do not count to the score. They don't add to the score, or they also don't subtract from the score. So in this particular buck, this point, there is no point that's matching on this side. So this would be deducted. It would be in the deductions for the other side. So in the Maine Antler Skull and Trophy Club rules, we actually only deduct half of this point, where Boone and Crockett would deduct the entire point. We actually only deduct half the point. So because this buck didn't have enough abnormal points to classify being non-typical, this and this did not get counted. Half of this got subtracted, which resulted in 135 and 1/8 score, which, I mean, when you look at this buck, you would say that this, would net out and score much better than that. It just missed being non-typical. How you determine whether a buck is typical versus non-typical is what percent over the minimum score that buck measured. So for instance, if you score this buck and you leave out the abnormal points and it scores like this one, for instance, 135 and 1/8, the minimum is 135. So this is 1/8 of an inch above the minimum score for a typical. 1/8 above 135, there's a certain percent there. if you add the abnormal points after deductions, if you add the abnormal points, and this buck came to, let's say, 152, because the minimum for non-typical is 150. So if this buck came to 152 after deductions, that would be a higher percent over the non-typical score than what it scored as a typical. Then that would automatically put this in the non-typical category. Unfortunately, with this buck, it didn't have enough abnormal points, or inches, I should say. It had 13 5/8 inches of abnormal points. That didn't put it. That wasn't enough to put it into the non-typical category. So this buck remains at 135 1/8, and just the score obviously is not an indication of just the sheer mass and giant of this rack. So I just kind of wanted to do like a little informational video. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure I'll get plenty of positive and negative feedback. Kind of my first time just doing a video like this, so let me know what you think. Have a nice day.